And these little DIOs are bottlenecked by their intake right here. It can't be changed. You can put a giant intake right here, but it has a little tiny intake port that's designed for a Honda 50 that goes into the engine. So there's problems that will be made there. Now after the air and the fuel go through the carb, we'll talk about this, from this point on right here, going into the carb, or going into the intake, through the reed valves, and into the engine, there can be no air leaks. What air leaks will do, even a tiny air leak, suppose you had an air leak, like right here, in this, this is for a boost bottle, I think, or a vacuum gauge, but I don't have one. If you had an air leak, right, just a slow one right here, what happens is, the law states that you must have 14 or 15 parts air to 1 part gas. With extra air, what it happens is the ratio changes. The carburetor is putting into the motor the same amount of ratioed air that it should. But with a leak, you're gaining more air. And with more air, what that does is it leans out the gasoline in the metering device. When there is too much air to fuel going into the engine at idle, the motor will quit. That's why, if you have a problem with your idle, I would look for leaks. Now, when you look at your bike, you know when you get a new bike, there isn't a whole lot of leaks on it? That's because there's not supposed to be any leaks. That's the way these work. The little motor is basically a little tiny gas-powered air pump. And the air pump is a sealed unit. From here, all the way through the intake, through the cylinder right here. Let me take off this Repsol racing shroud that I would love to use at the Isle of Man race, the TT race, the Tourist Trophy race in June. No, can't do that. No. I don't know. There still is hope. Who knows? And your exhaust comes out right here. Now this is water cooled. So there's a couple other problems. These motors were generally not water cooled at all. Water cooled helps because when we talk about the average operating temperature for a two-stroke, if you have a, see, this is a gauge for your temperature gauge, which you fit right on here, and it works pretty good. But for an air-cooled engine, the operating temperature is between probably 280 and 300 degrees at top speed. You don't want to go anything over that for the head temperature. Now, if you have water cooled at idle will be about 180 degrees. When you jump on the bike and you get up there to full bitch wide open, then your water temperature and your gauge should read about 280. And then what will happen is as soon as you let off on that throttle, that head temperature will drop because the water is circulating from here to here, and it is cooling the inside of the cylinder. God, I'm really getting into this. This is great. I don't know how long this is going to go on, but I'm rolling on this series.